Panchalyavadidandi Sarvavedanta Pandita Srimad-Viveka-yogi Mam Prachodayadu Sarvada. For inspiring me to meditate on a very comprehensive and fulfilling universal vision of the great Nararishi, Swami Vivekananda, as Veda Purusha. Punyabhumi Bharat is the land of Vedas, of knowledge supreme, which is a true elixir of life. In Swamiji's words, this is the ancient land where wisdom made its home before it went to any other country. Here first rose the doctrines of the immortality of the soul, the existence of a supervising God, an immanent God in nature and in man. And here the highest ideals of religion and philosophy have attained their culminating points. Unquote. Here are presented the infinite possibilities of realizing the one infinite eternal truth by man through his own self-efforts, which have been now put under the comprehensive term of yoga. This is what makes Indian spirituality something unique in the whole world. The ultimate truth, Satya, and its practical version, Dharma, have been the key elements in our Bharatiya culture. Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara. They have been the watchwords, we can say, of our Indian spirituality from time immemorial. Countless are the seers and incarnations who have appeared in our land upholding this Satya and Dharma, replenishing them through their lives and teachings. They were all Veda Purushas. In the sense, they all embodied the wisdom of the Vedas. One such adorable Veda Purusha who lived in the 19th century, who awakened India and enriched Indian life in its history, was Swami Vivekananda, the beloved disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, who became renowned later in his life as a condensed India, Vedanta Kesari, master builder of modern India, and so on. In this brief meditation on Swami Vivekananda as Veda Purusha, we shall observe the unparalleled life of Swami Vivekananda from three dimensions of Veda Purusha as Vishva Bhanu, self-effulgent, Vishva Bandhu, a friend of all, and Vishwa Guru, the universal teacher. Each one of them equally enlightening and enthralling and universal in its scope. Vishwabhanu Vivekananda. To a devout couple whose religious beliefs are firmly rooted in the Sanatana Dharma, when their longing for a son gets transformed into a tapas, to them is born one who is not only a reflection of their aspirations, but who has also a destiny to fulfill. Such a one is an Arya, as Swamiji has endorsed elsewhere. He is truly the light of the family, and in Swamiji's life, he was not only the light of his own family, but he was soon to grow as Vishwabhanu, a light for the whole world. To recall the life and teachings of this cynosure of the eyes of the family of Vishwanatha Datta and Bhuvaneshwari Devi is to come under the benign influence of the rising sun. Like Sri Krishna, even the apparently mischievous pranks of this boy, Narendra, had a hidden meaning, pointing to a deeper awareness of the whole, which was rare among his friends. His meditative power, daring approach towards superstitions, indomitable courage in facing challenging situations, and above all, his love and compassion for the less privileged marked him as someone different even from his childhood days. It was therefore but natural that very soon his mind got pivoted on to the search for the ultimate truth of one's being, which finally landed him at the feet of that best of avatars, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, at Dakshинeshwar. The light he received from the Master, Sri Ramakrishna, intensified the glow of his own awareness, which effortlessly expanded and transformed him in a very short span into a Vishva Bandhu who could lighten the burden of the lives of those who came to him, and later as Vishwa Guru, capable of igniting the spiritual flame of all his listeners. Vishwa Bandhu Vivekananda. For one who has realized the truth in its entirety as his own self, expansion to fullness is spontaneous. He automatically gets elevated into a Vishwabandhu. In Swami Vivekananda's life, the Veshti and Samashti merger took place during his Parivrajaka life. One day, he was meditating under a banyan tree. Suddenly, he got up and told his Guru Bhai, "Oh, today I had a wonderful revelation. Microcosm and macrocosm are made on the same plan. Unity between the Veshti and the Samashti, which is the root of the grand conception of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, dawned upon Swamiji and stayed with him forever as part of his enlightened awareness. From then on, all the Veda bhavas were removed from his mind, elevating him to a universal being, Vishwabandhu, friend of all, Vishwamitra, whose vision of universal oneness we find bursting forth at Chicago World of Religions, Parliament of World of Religions, in September 1893, as he addressed the audience as Sisters and Brothers of America. A self-realized person has a totally integrated personality. In him, Jiva and Brahma stand unified. India's history is replete with examples of such personalities, of untold number of rishis, rajarshis and incarnations who have enriched our land and our culture from time immemorial. In our recent history, Swami Vivekananda was one such outstanding example of such a total personal integration in whom the various streams of human potentialities were harmoniously blended. His arresting personal appearance, his extraordinary power of concentration, inimitable capacity to impress his listeners, mastery over the subject, proficiency in music, and above all, love and compassion towards one and all made him stand out in a crowd. Let me quote a few lines from a Malayali poet's description of Swamiji. To translate it, in walking, he was an emperor. In sitting, he resembled a lion, and his voice was like that of a flute. And to catch his feet, it was nothing short of a kalpataru. Now we'll see the third aspect, Vishwaguru Vivekananda. Thus did the Lion of Vedanta, a prince among saints, appear at the Parliament of Religions to start his ascent to the exalted position of Vishwaguru. Like the renowned teacher Sri Ramanuja, who shared his Diksha mantra with devotees at large from the rooftop of a temple to instill spiritual awareness in them, so did Swami Vivekananda, addressing the audience at the Chicago Parliament of Religions, initiate them into the oneness of truth by sharing with them the vision of the oneness of our Vedic seers, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, voiced through endearing expression of sisters and brothers of America, but embracing the whole world. The magnificence of the personality of the young princely saint centered on his astute brahmacharya, combined with his realization of the truth within and without, the unmatched power that flowed through his short but enlivening oration, the light of knowledge, understanding, compassion that emanated from his beautiful, brilliant eyes, altogether produced the effect of the audience receiving the Mahamantra of universal brotherhood, which they were waiting to hear. Swami Vivekananda's short speech invoked in them not only an unusual blessedness, but also a deep sense of belonging to the whole. That is why they just couldn't contain it within them, as they had never experienced before. The result has become part of the religious history of the world. That was the moment when, like Sri Shankara, ascending the Sarvajñapidha, Swami Vivekananda elevated himself into the position of Vishwa Guru, universal teacher par excellence. True to the teachings of the Veda Rishis, the central theme of Swamiji's teaching was also the divinity of man. Yet to this ideal were added new dimensions of practical wisdom to suit the changing situation of the modern so-called scientific age. The lamp of eternal truth which our Vedic seers had lighted eons ago was made aglow once again as it emanated from Swamiji with added contemporary relevance. The Rishi's clarion call to humanity, Shrinuvantu Vishve Amradasya Putraha, Utishtada Jagrada Prapyavaran Nibodhada. They were all re-echoed through him, who made them more tangible and appealing by condensing them into arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached. The superfine realization of the Vedic seers, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, and so on, they were all emanated from Swamiji as some new expressions, but very, very practical and understanding. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal in life is to manifest this divinity by controlling nature external and internal. Do it by work or philosophy, psychic control, or by one or more, all of them, and be free. This was the Viveka Sopana, the ladder for the ascent of man to divinity, presented by Swamiji, meant for the humanity at large, irrespective of caste, creed, race, and sex. Thus did he ascend to the exalted throne of Vishwaguru. A true guru is like a good doctor who has in-depth knowledge of the patient's ailments, who knows how to correlate the external symptoms with the patient's internal disorders, and who can prescribe the right medicine for the wholesome improvement of the patient. Our Vedic rishis were such excellent doctors who thoroughly understood the defects in the human system, which obliterated the innate divinity and led to all miseries in life. They categorized the internal disorders as the six enemies of man: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. They have devised ways and means of eradicating these evils so that the innate divinity of man shines forth. It is they who have formulated the 4 yogas for inner purification so that man's ascent to divinity becomes natural within the grasp of every human being. Swami Vivekananda, true to his teacher's position, or true as a teacher coming back to his old patient, when he returned to India, he could easily diagnose the disease symptoms which ailed our society, and he started treating the society as per the directions of the great seers. In this Karma Bhumi Bharat, karma had undergone great deterioration in the value. Swamiji prescribed medicines of Tyaga and Seva to regain the beauty of the karma. Work as worship was the tonic that restored the effectiveness of karma. Similarly, to Bhakti Yoga was added the knowledge of one truth to restore its glory and make it universally appealing. Raja Yoga was redefined by him as a science of religion, which added to its universal relevance. Jnana Yoga was lifted from the knowledge of the many to the knowledge of the one in the many to restore its Advaitic splendor. Receiving the treatment from the master physician, Vishwa Guru Swami Vivekananda, all our yogas have regained their universal relevance. One or other or all of them could be used to manifest the inner divinity of man. They all have their role to play in character building and nation building, not only for our country, but for the entire humanity. No wonder Sri Ramakrishna had recognized in him the Veda Purusha Rishi and entrusted to him the sacred task of doing mother's work, that of revitalizing the Sanatana Dharma. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।